Well, while most of the political attention has been on Boothby during this campaign, where does that leave the 90% of South Australians who vote outside of Boothby? And what does it mean for South Australia's voice and influence on the national stage? Casey Briggs checked in on the campaign outside of Boothby.
For a small state, South Australia's provided some big names in federal politics.
It's not my place to say we're going to win, but certainly everyone thinks it's clear as a bell.
We're a political party. We're in the business of winning.
They've come from all sides, and for a time, SA was home to leaders of the third force in Canberra, the Democrats. But now, to the disappointment of Emeritus Professor of Politics Clem McIntyre, SA risks going from hero to zero.
Well, I think it's pretty lacklustre really in South Australia. We've seen the leaders a couple of times, but not very often.
One reason the state's been an afterthought on the campaign trail is that it's steadily been losing seats in the lower house, the place where governments are made or broken. Based on its falling share of the national population, SA lost one last year. The state's gone from 13 seats to 10 over 3 decades. And the redistribution of boundaries left only one truly competitive seat.
Boothby is an important seat. It's one that the Labor Party's eyeing off. It's the most marginal seat in the state.
Which explains why that seat has seen the lion's share of campaign TLC. There's something to be won here. In the other 90% of the state, the campaign trudges on.
I think what South Australians are saying is they're ready for this election. It feels like it's been coming forever.
In Labor's heartland, the heavy hitters Penny Wong and Mark Butler dropped by for a visit.
Oh, you're so cute.
You are an inspiration. You are
that's
amazing.
Very sweet. Thank you.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
very kind.
Over in Adelaide's east, it's the same story, but for the Liberals.
Are we going Liberal? Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All the best.
There
you have
you
a good
go.
day. Bye, sweetie.
There you go.
South Australia has had no better friend than the Liberal government in Canberra, delivering $90 billion worth of shipbuilding investment, the space agency to Adelaide, a city deal.
With the state now having fewer seats, what matters most is influence within the government. The major parties are squabbling over who will give SA the loudest voice in Cabinet.
We've had some very important, significant decisions for South Australia made in Canberra because people like Christopher Pyne and Simon Birmingham have been there around the Cabinet table fighting for our interests.
But with Christopher Pyne walking out the door, SA loses a powerful influence at the Coalition Cabinet table.
The difference, of course, with the Labor Party is you've got 4 potential Labor cabinet ministers and 2 members of the leadership group.
Bill Shorten's got to make room for people like Christina Keneally, so I wouldn't be counting on having those seats if I were a South Australian Labor member.
While most South Australian races are arguably dull, the Senate offers a bit more excitement. Voters have a history of installing colourful characters to the Senate, and this time eyes will be on the Centre Alliance. Will it be able to replicate its 2016 vote without Nick Xenophon leading the party?
Without the name Xenophon on the ticket, the phenomenal level of support that party was able to garner last time round is likely to dissipate quite quickly. I'll be surprised if there's a Centre Alliance senator elected this time round.
That party's lead candidate, Skye Kokoski-Moore, will slug it out with 41 other candidates as she tries to return to the red leather benches. Casey Briggs, ABC News, Adelaide.